Hey everyone, it's Roshini. I just came home from running errands. Literally, I'm in the car on my driveway. Groceries, TJ Maxx got way too much of my money. And I decided there's no time like the present to film the answers to the Q&A video I promised you. So this is what I decided for 2020, you guys. The last week of every month, I'm going to drop a Q&A post, a post where you guys can leave questions for me in the Find Your Light group, and then early the next month I will record a video like this answering your questions. So whenever you have questions for me, look out for that post, drop them in there, and I will answer them like this. So the first question I had was, what's the best and worst thing about living in St. Louis? Okay, I'm gonna start with the worst because that's actually what's forefront in my mind. Ironically, today on Facebook, I shared an article that said something like, every Black woman can tell you the moment when she was first called a racial slur. And I shared with them that my moment actually didn't come until I moved to Missouri. I grew up in the Virgin Islands, and I really was never called a racial slur in the Virgin Islands. So when I came to Missouri in my 20s, I encountered some children calling names out, and I was like, who are they talking to like that? And then I looked around and realized I was the only person that was applicable to be talking to like that. And honestly, you guys, I was so far removed from the experience that I laughed because, I mean, they were in the presence of royalty, so I don't know who they were talking to, but it was the first time I had something like that. So subsequently, the lady in the article, as well as several other St. Louisans, came in and shared that their first experiences were when they were 4, and when they were 5, and when they were 7. And so that is what I would say the worst part of living in St. Louis is. It's mid-America. It's mostly Trump country, with the exception of the actual larger metropolitan area, like St. Louis City itself. And people are very kind of divisive in their way of living with people who are from other cultures and other races. They are underexposed. They are less likely to have experienced travel in life. And therefore, they are very kind of locked into their ways and a little bit behind the times. And that's been the worst part for me, because being a person from the Virgin Islands, I come from a cultural melting pot. I mean, we're not perfect, but we're way further along than this. And so it's kind of like living in a city like New York or in Miami or something when you come from the Virgin Islands, and then you come here and you feel like you've gone back in time 45 years. So that's one of the things that's not the best. Let's see. One of the things, let me say something positive. One of the things that I do enjoy about living in Missouri is the central location. That's gonna sound crazy, but we're almost smack dab in the middle of the country. And if you're a person that likes to travel, it makes pretty much the east, west, south, north pretty accessible from a moderately length flight. So, you know, if you live on a coast, to get to the other coast, it's like all day long, but it's not like that from St. Louis. When we used to have a hub here, airline hub, it made it even easier. We don't have that anymore. TWA it's not the hub, but that was one of the things I like. Also, the cost of living is ridiculously low here. I mean, coming from the Virgin Islands, where everything is an arm and a leg, literally, like you have to chop off a body part to be able to like eat. When I first got here, it was like they were giving things away, is what it felt like to me. It was just dirt cheap. And so gas is cheap, homes are cheap, food is cheap, groceries are cheap, everything does not cost anything. And another wonderful thing is that the commutes, there's barely any traffic. Now, if you talk to St. Louisan, because like I said, they're underexposed, right? They don't understand that they're living in a place where it's like ridiculously cheap with barely any traffic. So they will complain about prices and traffic, but you just kind of have to just smile at them because they don't know any different, right? Because they haven't really lived anywhere else. So I would say that's probably the worst and the best thing about living in St. Louis. Next question is, what is your go-to song/artist when I need to find comfort, peace, or center? Well, my favorite artists pretty much remain the same. My favorite artist on the planet is Sarah McLachlan. Black people like to join me on that, but whatever. My second favorite artist is Jonathan Brooke. Black people don't even know who she is, but when they find out who she is, they like to join me on that also, but whatever. Okay, they speak to my spirit. My third favorite artist is Terrence Riley. He's a reggae artist, and most American Black people don't know who he is. Korean Black people know who he is, and they don't join me on that because apparently that goes along with being Black, whatever. So to answer your question, I don't have a particular artist that I run to, but I just have music and songs that I like to run to. With respect to comfort and peace, if I'm being honest, I like things that bring me joy, and I like dance music. If you've seen any of my videos, you know I will just make a rando video dancing around to something that just moves me in the shundo. You know, anything that gets my lower vertebrae going. And so that brings me comfort and peace. You said center. The irony of me needing to feel center is I'm really big in meditation right now. My favorite app on my phone for meditation is called Insight Timer, and there are a lot of meditation musics. I am the queen of going to sleep with affirmations playing in my ear, going to sleep with all kind of meditation music like I'm in a spa playing in my ear, doing chores with meditation music playing, doing my work with meditation. Just background music that is calming like I'm in a spa is wonderful. So even if you just Google spa music and YouTube, a video will come up and it'll just play something in the background. I've kind of trained myself to feel centered with that kind of stuff. The next question is, how do you balance everything being a special needs mom? I am one too. Hey girl. Being a wife, all things Glamazini, therapy, and everything else life requires from you. Ironically, this is why I started Shine Group Coaching. So if you are not part of Shine Group Coaching, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you join, because this is literally what I was answering for them pretty much all of the end of last year. We did an entire productivity series where I dived deeply into how I do it all. People ask me all the time, how you do it all, girl, how you doing it all, how you doing it all? And I dive deep into it. And if you join Shine, clearly all of the previous calls and videos and information are right there for you. You can go back and review them. So if you need a deep dive into it, I got you, girl. But if the high level version of it is, 1, I don't do it all. 2, I don't believe there's anything as balanced. I believe that there's choices. 3, I am the queen of prioritization and boundaries. I've been learning more and more about boundaries. And prioritization just means you don't have to do it all. You get to choose, right? And so it's more about understanding who you are and being able to communicate that in love to other people, as well as choose what is important to you and what you're going to do with the finite amount of time that you have on this planet. You cannot create more time. The only thing you can do is learn how to allocate and budget the time that you have. And so if you are a person that was taught to do what everybody else told you to do and to live somebody else's life, it's going to feel like you're drinking out of a fire hose. Now granted, it's not like it doesn't feel that way to me right now. You see me rushing through this video because I'm literally on my driveway in between errands and my son's bus is about to pull up. So this is the life that I'm living. However, this is the choice that I've made. Right? This is on brand. This is on purpose. This is in alignment with who I am. And it is because of what I just told you. Now, if you want a deeper dive, Shine, girl, come into Shine and I got you. I got a million tools and techniques and hows and mindset shifting exercises on all the things for you to get you right. Okay. Your 2020 will be different. All right. I'll put a link in the information box. All right. So there's one more question. And this is actually a technical question. How do you back up your information, file/post from a WordPress site? So if you guys don't know, WordPress is a platform that people use to host their blogs and to a framework that we use for our blogs. If you are an online blogger, it is one of the most powerful and popular platforms that people use. To answer your question, I have 2 ways that I back up my site. 1, the hosting company backs it up for me. So I have a self-hosted WordPress blog. As opposed to hosted on WordPress. So my actual WordPress blog uses WordPress as the application, the front end to blog with, but it sits on a different company's servers. I use HostGator. I don't have a huge blog, so I haven't had a lot of problems. I haven't had any problems with HostGator. However, I have heard some people when they get monstrous, they might have to shift. But for now, HostGator has done me well, and I'll put a link for that if you want to check them out. And so I have them backing up the files on their end, on their servers. So if anything happens, then I can kind of roll back to a certain point in time and I can go from there. Also, I have a company, I think it's called Crash Plan for Business. I will put a link that my husband set up on my actual computer that backs up my own files that are sitting on my computer. And so between the HostGator, the server backup of my host, and the actual regular backup of my own computer, I think on a weekly basis. If anything ever happens to my blog, I have the ability to at least go back to the last saved backed up version, which is at worst a week ago. So that's the answer for that. Now, there are other things that you can do on WordPress. There are widgets that you can download. Is it called widgets? Plugins, not widgets, that you can download that will automatically back up things for you. So definitely in your WordPress dashboard, you're going to want to go into your plugins and search for backup plugins and see what they have available. I'm sure that some of them are free and some of them are paid, and so they will have all the information for you. But that is what I do to back up my stuff. To back it up. And you can also manually back it up. I mean, I can log into my HostGator backend and just literally download all the files somewhere and put them somewhere. I mean, It's just the same as moving any file you would have on your computer somewhere. You just have to know where they're sitting. And so if you don't know, you can always call your host and ask them, where do these files sit? And then you can just put a reminder in your phone and manually move these things over. And you could have them on a separate hard drive. Maybe you could do it once a month. I mean, there are lots of ways to do it, but hopefully that gives you some information. So anyway, I'm going to get these groceries out of the car, you guys, and I'm going to get my son off the bus, and I'm going to finish out my Friday. Hope you guys are having an amazing Friday of your own, or whenever you're watching this video. And don't forget, at the end of February, I'll put up another link that says got questions, and you can throw all the questions you have for me in there. Doesn't matter. I'll talk to you about anything, whatever you want to know about life, coaching, mindset changes, whatever you want to ask me, girl, hair, whatever it is. I will put it in here, and I will upload it at the beginning of next month. Hope you enjoyed this video, and until the next video, be well, be encouraged. And there are a million pineapples around, but I don't have any that are loose. I'm going to turn off the car. There's a pineapple. Bye, y'all.